Well, here you are. You've made it. It's the last week of the road trip campaign, home group curriculum. So, congrats for hanging in there together and for growing together this fall on the journey. This past Sunday, we talked about the topic of generosity, which was our annual theme for last year. And it was really good to revisit that topic together on Sunday morning. And I'm standing here beneath the cross, which I think represents one of the greatest acts of generosity of all time, if not the greatest act of generosity of all time. And when you truly stop and think about how generous that God has been towards us on the cross, it's kind of hard to imagine us ever holding anything back from Him. But I think that's human nature, isn't it? And as we look at the topic of generosity together, we're going to jump into a bunch of different scriptures to try to find the answers to two different questions. The first one is this. It's where does God rank generosity among all of the other important virtues that He gives us for following Him in His Word? And then the second question is this. What is the deal with this whole tithe or tenth thing? What is God really calling us to as it relates to this whole tithing practice? So we'll dig into those things, and then after looking at what God has to say about those things, we'll get a chance to assess where each of our hearts and practices are as it relates to generosity. As part of that assessment, you'll get a chance to participate in the 4-month giving challenge. Last fall, as we did the generosity campaign for our fall series, almost 100 different families took part in the giving challenge, and we heard so many incredible things from those who participated as to how God used it to challenge them, to change their hearts, and also to help them develop consistency in their giving patterns. My wife and I were among the families that took that giving challenge last fall to help us increase our giving even a little bit more. And the 4-month giving challenge for us now has turned into a 14-month giving challenge. We've always really been firm believers of God's promise in Malachi 3:10. Where He says, "Bring all of the tithes into the storehouse, that there will be food enough in my temple. If you do, I will open up the windows of heaven for you and pour out a blessing so great that you won't even have room enough to take it in." And then He says this that He doesn't say anywhere else in Scripture. It says, "Try it, let me prove it to you." You know, ever since I was in college and barely making any money, that claim of God's in Scripture really stuck out to me. And so I committed, even in college when I was barely making any money, to always give God the first 10% of my income. And so now I can speak from almost 15 years of tithing experience to say that God's promise holds true. There are countless times in my life and in the life of my wife where God has blessed us, where He has met a need that we honestly didn't know how it was going to be met, where we've received anonymous money right in the moment that we needed it. And I truly believe that where your money goes, there also your heart will go. So I pray that you'll allow God to challenge you on this topic as your group meets together today. Well, if you decide that you want to take God up on that 4-month giving challenge, you can fill out the giving challenge card and you can drop it in an offering box at the church next weekend. And throughout that 4-month period, we'll follow up with you. We'll encourage you along the way. We'll check in with you to see what God's teaching you throughout the process. Well, since the road trip series is also almost over, I wanted to encourage you again to get that journey plan out and to fill it out, to utilize it as a rule of life, as a roadmap to help you get from where you are now to where you want to go on your journey with Jesus over the next year or so. You should have a blank journey plan in the road trip folder, so pull that out, start to fill that out if you haven't already started doing so. Well, I hope this fall has been as fruitful and as fulfilling for you as it has been for me. Maybe you want to plan another get-together with your group in the next week or two just to celebrate what God has done in each of your lives. Maybe to review together, hey, here's kind of a major next step that I feel like God is calling me to coming out of this series. And I pray that your community together was rich, and also that you'll continue to meet together even well after the campaign is over. We've got tons of different study options for you available at our Next Step Resource Center at the Gettysburg Pike campus, and you can also find a booklet with all of those options online. Well, God bless you all. Thanks for going on the journey together. Enjoy your last group meeting of the road trip campaign.